and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat. You can download the Global TV Nigerian app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. Now the news in full. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps warned the Nigerian Labour Congress against its planned March 1st shutdown of telecommunications services in response to the recent 50% tariff hike. The Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and the Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria similarly pushed back against the NLC's planned boycott of telecom services and shuts down of telecom infrastructure, arguing that such actions are misguided and could harm the industry. The NSCDC tasked with protecting critical national infrastructure, including telecommunications, expressed concerns over the potential risks the NLC action could pose to national security and public safety. The Minister of State for Defense, Dr. Bello Matawalle, has faulted the recent comments by former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Dr. Babachir Lawal, regarding the 2027 presidential ambitions of President Bola Tinubu. This is contained in a statement issued by the Director of Information and Public Relations of the Ministry of Defense, Mr. Henshaw Ubudike, in Abuja. Matawalle emphasized that President Bola has made commendable strides in governance and that Lawal and his associates will be surprised by this resounding support the president will receive from the north. Akwa Ibom State Governor Umar Eno warned government appointees against indiscriminate issuance of press statements without clearance. The governor directed that henceforth all appointees must obtain clearance from the secretary to the state government before issuing any information to the press. Eno, who spoke during the worship service held at the Uyo Archdiocese headquarters of the Methodist Church Nigeria in Tiamem Eto Uyo, emphasized that only the Commissioner of Information and the Chief Press Secretary to the governor are authorized to issue statements. The National Agency for Drug and Food and Drug Administration and Control has uncovered 2 warehouses stocked with expired drugs. This was made known in a statement shared by the agency on X platform. According to reports, some suspects managed to remove several cartons of expired but relabeled drugs before security reinforcements arrived. In a related operation at the Umameje Ohachala Osiseoma local government, NAFGAD seized 140 tons of expired drugs. This figure does not include additional products confiscated from drug shops at the Arara International Market. Over now to Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpebolo has vowed to petition the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over alleged financial mismanagement during the administration of his predecessor, Godwin Obaseki. A report by an administrative panel of inquiry claimed that 96 billion naira was misappropriated during Obaseki's tenure. Okpebolo made this known while receiving the panel's report, which was submitted to him in Benin City. The findings were disclosed in a statement issued by his Chief Press Secretary, Fred Itua. The State Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, APC Imo State Chapter, Kajetan Duke, a chieftain of the party and former lawmaker representing Ugari Bola State constituency in Imo State, Blyden Omarjanwu, and the state legal advisor, Uche Owosu, have resigned from the ruling party. Amarchi Ibe tells us more.
I am grateful for the opportunity to have served the APC Imo State in this capacity, and I appreciate the support, the trust that the party leadership and members have given to me during the term. I am proud of my accomplishment in office and what we did together. No regrets. As I have moved on to a new chapter, I am excited to announce to you that I have accepted the offer to become the official spokesperson of the Mazi organization.
I have decided to leave the APC. Let me first express my profound gratitude and commendation to our national leader, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his leadership ingenuity. To our dear Governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, for his esteemed support and rare opportunities given to me in different capacities. Of this, I have decided to partner with the Mazi organization, TMO, an NGO that is deeply committed to humanitarian services and improving the welfare of the people.
The Defense Headquarters has urged Nigerians to disregard the malicious allegations and support the armed forces' effort to enhance national security and promote the welfare of servicemen and women. The Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, in a statement faulted the allegations regarding Nigerian military requests for visas to attend the Invictus Game in Vancouver, Canada. He urged Nigerians to support the officers, men and women who sustained various degrees of injuries while protecting the nation. Gusau says the Nigerian military received an invitation to participate in the Invictus Games with its team, which comprised 3 officers and 21 players, including the team's physiotherapists. According to him, the need for accurate information at this time cannot be overemphasized. Nigeria's First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu has called for sustainable health financing mechanisms that ensure efficient resource mobilization and utilization to strengthen Africa's healthcare systems. This was contained in a press statement signed by her Senior Special Assistant on Media, Bisola Kukuye. Speaking in Addis Ababa's Ethiopia on the sidelines of the 38th African Union Summit, the First Lady stressed that Africa's economic growth and social stability hinge on a robust healthcare system that guarantees access to essential medical services for millions across the continent. And now, Kwara State government has commenced the upgrade of 70 primary health care facilities across the state's 3 senatorial districts, alleviating them to level 2 PHCs at a cost of 5 billion naira. Executive Secretary of Kwara State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Professor Nusirat Elulu, discloses during the contract signing ceremony at the agency's headquarters in Ilorin. The Nigerian Police Force says it has neutralized 7 terrorists and recovered 23 firearms along with assorted ammunitions in recent operations across the country. In a statement issued by the Force Public Relations Officer, ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, says the operations were part of efforts to dismantle criminal network and enhance internal security. Police operatives in Kebbi State trailed the suspects to Tatafari Forest in Dakugari Axis, where they engaged the kidnappers in a gun duel, killing 4 of them and arresting 1 with fatal injuries. Operators of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have dismantled a trans-border drug trafficking syndicate, arresting 4 key members in intelligence-led operations. The agency's Director of Media Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, said the crackdown resulted in the seizure of tramadol pills worth millions of naira, hidden in vehicles' compartments, methanol disguised as auto spare parts, and other illicit substance across multiple states, including Anambra, Cross River, Nasarawa, Taraba, Ekiti, and Lagos. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has called for the enactment of laws prohibiting possessions of large sum of money at the polling unit. The suggestion was put forward during a consultative meeting attended by the Commission's officials, security operatives, and members of Senate and House of Representatives. During the meeting, INEC's Director of Litigation and Prosecution, Taminu Mohammed, said politicians often carry large amounts of money on election day, claiming it is for party agents and logistical expenses. Students from no fewer than 23 public universities and polytechnics have lamented the delayed disbursement of their approved institutional loans from the Nigerian Education Loan Fund as the deadline for tuition payment and examinations draw near. President Bola Tinubu signed the Students' Loan Act into law on April 3, 2024 to provide sustainable higher education funding for Nigerian students. However, in response to the fund's verified post on X, students from several institutions, including the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, Obafemi Awolowo University, Federal University Lokoja, Ladoke Akintola University, and others in the northern Nigeria, expressed frustration over the alleged non-disbursement of their approved loans. The Tertiary Education Trust Medical Simulation Committee has presented its report at the Tertiary Education Trust Fund headquarters in Abuja. Chairman of the committee, Professor Wale Suleiman, while presenting the report, said medical simulation centers are virtually non-existent in Nigeria. Ramsey Enoch Agbo was at the event for Global TV. His report.
The chairman of the committee, Professor Wale Suleiman, and his team came up with some findings in their report, one of which noted that there is an urgent need for all healthcare regulatory bodies in Nigeria to incorporate medical simulation in the education's curriculum of their trainees. He stated that there is need to accelerate the transition to integrated training curriculum in all healthcare institutions. The committee, in its findings, said the newly established Federal University of Health Sciences are uniquely positioned to incorporate innovative education and training modules in their curriculum, such as medical simulation.
There's an urgent need for healthcare regulatory bodies to incorporate and accept medical simulation training as a critical component of continuing medical education and proficiency training. There's a need to accelerate the transition to integrated training curriculum in healthcare, in all healthcare institutions. The newly established Federal University of Health Sciences are uniquely positioned to incorporate innovative education and training modules in their curriculum, such as medical simulation. The newly established Federal University of Health Sciences represent the best opportunity for incorporation of medical simulation in the education and training of new generation, emphasis on new generation of Nigerian healthcare workers that can compete on the world stage. An example is that worldwide now, nobody uses, most developed world don't use cadavers anymore. They've transitioned to computer-based training, teaching in anatomy and physiology. So that's the one big example that,
In addition to the findings, the committee came up with the recommendation that will facilitate the implementation of their report, such as the establishment of simulation centers across Nigeria, medical simulation prototype, programs and equipment in the medical simulation centers, and funding mechanisms. Suleiman, in his final remarks and future direction, emphasized that one of the ways Nigeria healthcare can leapfrog the 21st century health system is through major investment in education and training of more healthcare workers that can compete on the world stage.
I believe strongly that one of the ways Nigeria healthcare may leapfrog into the 21st century is through major investment in education and training of future healthcare workers. People that can actually compete on the world stage. We're doing very well worldwide, but I think the way to get us there is through this investment in innovation. It's very critical. We can't continue to do the same way of training and expect that we would be able to compete. The second one is digital healthcare, which is telemedicine and remote patient care. Remote patient care is another element of healthcare innovation that would significantly improve access. If you're a great doctor and people can't see you, what's the point? So it's how do you now, for instance, even in my clinic in Lagos, 20% of
the chairman, board of trustee, Right Honorable Bello Masari, commended the committee for a job well done.
They have done and what they have presented. And I think, like he rightly said, this is the future, and we must embrace future with education intervention organization. You say the future belongs to those who, I can say, are prepared. And how do we get prepared? It's through education.
At the turn of the 21st century, it has become increasingly critical to train young Nigerians to become familiar with technological innovations. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global Television.
You're watching the live broadcast of Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, where Midday News return, ditch foreign aid or remain trapped, Okonjo-Iweala warns African leaders. We have those details from the world of business as well as more stories from foreign and sports segment for you. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Midday News on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. On our business decks now, as Nigeria steps up effort to implement its 54.9 trillion naira but 2025 budget, experts have expressed fear that President Donald Trump's energy policy targeted an increase in oil output will impact the $75 per barrel target on which the budget is based. Inflation and diaspora remittance among others. With his bill, Drill Baby Drill energy policy, President Trump said America will invest in fossil energy resources, boost oil and gas output in order to meet its domestic needs. A development analyst said do lead to oversupply and low prices in the international market. Reacting, the Director CEO Center of the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, Dr. Muda Yusuf, said President Trump's policy would hinder the realization of Nigerian $75 per barrel 2025 budget target, escalate high inflation while stalling diaspora remittance. The National Association of Road Transport Owners have expressed fear over the federal government's plan to ban 60,000-liter capacity tankers following the rise in cases of accidents involving fuel tankers. The association president, Yusuf Othman, in an interview with Newsman, says such move would cause a loss of 300 naira worth of investment by the tanker owners. The federal government, through the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, is considering placing a ban on 60,000-liter capacity petroleum tankers. The Director General World Trade Organization (WTO), Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has called on African leaders to stop relying on foreign aid and focus on mobilizing domestic resources to attract investments and drive economic growth. Okonjo-Iweala emphasized that African leaders need to mindset shift, saying the continent is blessed with vast untapped financial and natural resources that could drive sustainable development. While speaking on the sidelines of the African Union meeting in Ethiopia, the WTO chief advised that foreign aid should be considered a thing of the past. On the foreign news now, few heads of diplomacy can boost the longevity of Mohammed Ali Yusuf, foreign minister since 2005, who has been elected to head the African Union's Executive Commission. Yusuf won the required support of two-thirds of the region's leaders in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, to secure posts representing some 1.5 billion Africans across the continent. The 59-year-old was deemed an outside shot against veteran Kenyan politician Raila Odinga, but observers have praised the career diplomat's low-key campaign to succeed Chadian Moussa Faki Mohammed and head the Pan-African bloc. U.S. officials say Secretary of State Marco Rubio plans to meet Russian officials in Saudi Arabia in coming days for talks aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. America's top diplomat will be joined by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and U.S. Special Envoy to Middle East Steve Witkoff. U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine Keith Kallig, who said Washington, Moscow, and Kyiv would be involved in talks, but Europe was not invited. At least 18 people have estimated to have died during a stampede at the railroad station in India's capital late Saturday when surging crowds scrambled to catch trains to the world's largest religious gathering. The Kumbh Mela attracts tens of millions of Hindu faithfuls every 12 years to the northern city of Prayagraj and has a history of crowd-related disasters, including 1 month when at least 30 people died in another stampede at the holy confluence of Ganges, Yamunis, and mythical Savarati rivers. The rush at the train station in New Delhi appeared to break out Saturday as crowds struggled to board trains for the ongoing event, which will end on February 26. Hamas has freed 3 Israeli hostages in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners in the latest swap under the ceasefire agreed by the Israel and armed group last month. The 3 hostages handed over on Saturday are American Israel Shagil Dakilkani, 36, Argentina Israel Yorhorn, 46, and Russia Israel Alexander Tarfonin, 29. In return, 369 Palestinians held in Israeli jails were released. And in sports now, Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola believes his team only have a 1% chance of overcoming Real Madrid in their Champions League clash on Wednesday. City were defeated 3-2 at the home in the first leg of the playoff clash last week, despite leading 2-1 with their just minutes last in the tie. Guardiola stated that the margin to win at the Bernabeu from this position, everybody knows, the percentage to go through, we arrive at 1% or I don't know what, but it will be minimal, in his words. Uganda's Joseph Kilimio shattered the men's half marathon world record, clocking at unprecedented 56 minutes and 41 seconds. The remarkable feat saw the 24-year-old aberrate the previous record by a staggering 49 seconds, marking the most significant single improvement in the event's history. Kaplumo's previous world record of 59.31 set in Lisbon in 2021 was surpassed by Ethiopia's Yamuf Kajelka, who recorded 59.30 in Valencia in October 2024. And that's it on Global Television Midday News. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276, and free to air on Nicomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using